as of July 17th. And before that, what were you doing?
CFO, Chief Financial Officer.
So essentially, you know the workings of Vista Maria. Have you kind of had your hands in other places too, or just the financials before this?
Well, financials, facilities, security, kitchen, IT, all reported to me as a CFO.
Okay. So before we sat down here now, one of the reasons I wanted to have this chat, obviously, was to address some of these issues, but we did speak with the COO, Meredith Reese,
Yes.
before, and I did have some more people, some former, current employees and former residents who were upset with the interview, and they felt like there wasn't enough transparency there. First off, did you think there was there?
Enough transparency?
Yes.
I did. I think that Meredith is her own style of leadership. You get something different with me. So
Okay.
ask whatever question you'd like to ask,
Okay.
and I will be as transparent as I possibly can.
Okay. So I'm working right off of these documents from the state, and obviously there's allegations listed. There's the date published, conclusion, and the type of violation, whether it was a violation, not a violation. And I'm just looking at July. Let's go with just July. July 17th, staff punched youth. And here it says it took significant amount of staff members to remove staff member to stop her from attacking the youth. Staff was terminated. I know you can't comment on specific staff, specific minors, things like that. But when we read something like, it took a significant amount of staff members to remove the staff member to stop her from attacking the youth, it's troubling because these girls, a lot of these girls are there because they're already troubled. They've already been in environments like that. So what are you doing? What have you been doing since I guess we last spoke and since we started speaking with you guys to have sufficient staff? I keep seeing also inadequate supervision on 620 and on 520, inappropriate relationship. And I think I counted 39 violations in 7 months, in the last 7 months. So I just want to lay that out for you right now.
Yeah.
First off.
So one violation is too many. Obviously, we don't like that number. We want it to be smaller. The relationship, though, between allegations and the work we do, it comes with the territory. It really does. For example, you named off one that was inappropriate sexual violation. When you look below the surface on that particular one, it's not staff and client, it's client and client. So 2 girls that were in our care were kissing. So that's how it gets categorized when it comes to.
Well, this one was on 520. It says inappropriate relationship terminated after staff member was seen picking up youth. Relationship denied, but both parties reported a relationship prior to termination.
So, although again, I don't want to get into micro level, I can tell you that was thoroughly investigated and action taken both at the state level and at the Vista Maria level. Here's the thing, we take every one of those incidents seriously, as does the state. I don't know if you've talked to the MDHHS, but those people are serious. They're on our campus every day. Not only are we the ones who are investigating, but they're investigating too. We don't look at them as the enemy. We both have a common goal of taking care of these kids who, it's not like our kids. These kids have been through things that we can't even possibly imagine. So they act out. Traumatized people, not even just youth, have one of 3 responses. They either fight, which we see a lot of. They're either fighting staff, they're fighting each other, or they freeze, which we don't see as much of that, where a child will actually freeze, or they'll flee. I'm sure you've seen what's described as an AWOL or an elopement. So when they get close to their trauma, when they get close to the triggers, they're going to act out, just like you and I would. It's just that we have the ability to regulate ourselves, whereas these girls don't always. And so, yes, every kid deserves to be safe. And I will tell you that since the beginning of the year, we have made strides that really are quite remarkable with regards to the facilities. So I think part of your reporting back in April had to do with the state of our facilities, because we did have a number of complaints about that. I can tell you that we've spent upwards of $500,000 since the first quarter putting new walls up, more durable materials, ordering new furniture. There's really been a significant investment there. We've taken the time over the last 6 months to retrain all of our staff, all of our direct care staff, so we can fill in the gaps in terms of training. That means we can recognize before a girl gets heightened, what are those triggers that we can intervene before she gets to that point. You mentioned, or I'm just gonna keep on going. You mentioned food. Food was another one. Well, food's in my backyard because I'm responsible for the kitchen. I will tell you that in any congregate care setting, it's very hard to please everybody. And so that's not gonna happen. But we have created sub-initiatives to make sure that the food stays the proper heat, that girls are getting choice, really trying to up our game as it relates to food as well. We have tried to take every step we possibly can to be a better Vista Maria now than we were in the beginning of the year. I can tell you this, I'm prouder of that team. Yes, we've lost staff. We're gonna lose a lot of money in 2025. It's just the reality. We're investing because we're not gonna go anywhere. This work is very hard. Not everybody can do it, and a lot of agencies have closed because it's tough.
It's sad, I agree.
Reading those allegations kills us. And that's why you've seen a lot of terminations coming out of Vista Maria, because safety is sacred to us. Transparency is sacred. There are some culture items that we are speaking aloud because if you are not part of that solution, you need to go. I think that when we had so many girls on campus, our managers of our buildings were hesitant to let staff go because that just meant the staff that remains had more to do, there was more risk. We can't have that on our campus. Only the very best, the very committed, and now we have staff who, not that we didn't have it before, please no, we have a great core cohort of staff that have been here for decades, really. They will call on a day off, on an evening off, to find out because X child had a family visit. They wanted to know how it went. I'm telling you, when a parent misses their visit, that sends a child into a spin. And it's the staff in the building who take care of that child. So this is real work that we love. We are ever changing. It's why we've been around 142 years. You came to us at a time when we were really struggling. And I think that in a very unique way, you really lit a fire under some folks in terms of making change. So I'll give you that. Like I said, you're not the most popular person on Vista Maria because it also brought up a great deal of pride. The people who are there for the right reasons, really took issue that it was so narrowly focused on just statistics from a website. You really have to go deeper than that to understand. If you looked at that, Vista Maria, compared to its peers, I think you'd get a whole different picture. That's not to say we don't try to be zero as far as incidents. We do. It's just you're dealing with people, not robots, and so we can't predict how people are going to react.
Right, and I agree, dealing with people. And I welcome, like I said before, I welcome people reaching out to me who had a wonderful experience at Vista Maria. I got one email. I have dozens of others of people I didn't ask for. So I do feel like it's my duty to look into those. And I will say, to continue to hold you guys accountable,
Definitely.
if you don't mind.
Please.
One thing, it just keeps bugging me, and I keep seeing failure to document. You say you're working with the state, but I see that a kid goes AWOL, and it says on 7/2, failed to document, didn't report AWOL youth to state licensing, and law enforcement had to be notified. Then didn't report law enforcement contact to state licensing. So when you say you don't have any runs from police, I have to check with police to see how many runs they have.
Sure.
Because is this really accurate? Because if you're not reporting or if you're not documenting, is this even accurate?
So what you're seeing, I don't know all the details. However, failure to document, I'd need to talk to the people who are involved in the incident, because you only get a snippet of incident reports that there's probably.
This is all I'm allowed to get. I've FOIA'd you guys.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I can't get anything.
The problem is that we would have to redact so much of what, because it's got staff names, children's names, it may have officers in there. Here's what I know. Even a failure to document isn't necessarily us not reporting something. It may be we had 60 minutes to report something and it didn't get reported for 90.
There was one of those. This one was just, and there's more than one. This was just one I'm bringing up. But
here's what I'll tell you. I will get the details on that one, and I'll provide as much as I can as far as what went down in that situation. There's no hiding.
I'm just curious, yeah, what happens to staff who aren't documenting, or what happens to staff after there's a fight with staff on 5:30, and apparently video shows staff and youth fighting. So what happens after that?
Yeah. So we have cameras in every building. Let me just say that, so that folks know, in every public piece of a building, so that means no bathrooms and no children's rooms, we have videotape. And that videotape is kept for 90 days. So we are monitoring and keeping track so that there is no, now we don't have audio, so it is part of the picture, but nonetheless, we did all of that without the state asking us to put in video cameras, because we felt it was important. It's important for kids and it's important for staff, let's be honest. I am pleased to get you whatever details you want on that. And please know, when you hold a child caring institution license, a CCI license, you are going to be one of the most regulated licenses in the state of Michigan. Those people mean business. They are just as invested in the lives of those kids as Vista Maria is. And so, yes, it gets adversarial from time to time because we're all trying to do the right thing. We may not like a rule because we don't see that it's logical. Well, it doesn't matter. That's part of the business. So I promise you, I will disclose as much as I can regarding that incident so that you feel comfortable. We have to self-report. It's the way all those get on there, because the only other way to get it reported is an anonymous tip of some type, which we have a whistleblower's line that we make available to all. It gets translated beyond our control. We would have no idea. Certainly they can go to DHHS themselves, or it's a child talking to their caseworker at DHHS. We have no reason to hide because there are too many layers of supervision that take place. You're going to be found out. It does not matter. And certainly we do not have staff members in children's rooms at all. That is not allowed. So we take things seriously. We look at it as if our kid was there, would we feel comfortable? Certainly we wouldn't want our kids in congregate care, but if they're there, I want to make sure they're eating well, they're getting exercise, they're going to school. Somebody is there to hold their hand if I don't call them. That's what we try to provide every day, 365.
And you said staff aren't in, I just want to make sure I understand. Yeah. You said staff aren't in their rooms. What do you mean?
I mean that you will not find that a staff member will go into a girl's room unsupervised, let's put it that way. Because we don't want staff members hanging out in a child's room. They have their own bedroom. It's on a wing where staff are, because we have to stay in ratio. We have to have them within line sight. But it doesn't make sense. There's no reason for a staff member to go in their room when they're in their room. The kid would come out And if they want to read books, if they want to do a puzzle, if they want to just watch TV, they come out of their rooms.
Okay. And you were talking about, I don't know what the I mean, you were CFO, so you know. I think I was reading revenue for 2023 was like 36 million. Do you
Sounds
know
about right.
what 2024
We're
was?
probably close to that.
And what's projected for 2025?
It's not good. I think we're going to be off by probably $10 million because of residential. That's how, when you go from having 50, 60 kids in care down to a handful, that impacts you wildly. But we've been talking to our board and making them aware. This is a time of investment. This is when most boards go, time to close the door. We aren't doing that. There were nuns way back when who did this work when there were world wars, no heat, no electricity. I think we can make it through this new cycle and these issues without closing the door. We are pulling up our bootstraps and we're doing what's right for the kids because DHHS doesn't have enough residential beds to handle high acuity kids. This is a crisis.
I agree.
I mean, for some reason, it's disproportionately hitting girls and the LGBT community, but we handle the girls. And so it's not easy. These direct care workers, I'm telling you, these are the same workers that we were putting signs out and applauding during COVID. They showed up. They showed up when other people were afraid to leave their house. Those are those same workers. And if you're not one of those workers, we're going to feel you out quickly and move you on to whatever your next job is, because we don't have time for that.
So, and I'll get back to the employees in a second. One may question 36 million in 2023. You said the same in 2024. Why are there buildings that you can't use and girls are forced to stay elsewhere? And there's holes in the walls and metal sticking out of areas and boards up on the walls.
Yeah. So when things got really heightened near the end of last year, what happens is that fight predisposition of some girls, they literally will punch holes in walls. We built those buildings not for that level of acuity, I must tell you. You know, it's for more like general residential. This is mental health treatment. And so it became very clear we had to react quickly from a facilities perspective because we can't move girls from one building to another easily, meaning we need to get permission from the state. There needs to be a lot to move kids. So I sent in our facilities team, who are incredible, into those buildings to make them safe. That's why you saw boards that would go up on big holes, because if I didn't put boards up, then they'd be able to grab insulation. They were grabbing wiring. It becomes more of a hazard. Make it safe. And what happened was we stopped taking children. And so all you had were discharges so that we could empty buildings and then do a rush into those buildings and replace walls with more durable. We have a bathroom. We have bathrooms in one of our buildings. Had beautiful ceramic tile from top to bottom. What we didn't realize is when you kick a hole through one of those walls, now you've got a weapon because you have shards of ceramic tile that they were using. So we had to rip out all the bathrooms, 4 of them in one building alone. And then we have to, remodel them, for a lack of better terms. That's all the work that's being done. So now we are open back up. We're starting to take intakes. The state is very pleased because those buildings are now more durable. We put a lot of our initiatives. Everybody's been retrained. We've closed those gaps. It's time to go. Kids need to be placed. We have the team that can do that. Our clinical team has even gotten retrained on some new programming elements, which I think are going to really help. Believe it or not, we just opened a pool on our campus. The sisters put in a below-ground pool in the 60s. It's been falling apart. Through amazing donations through private areas, we were able to replace that pool. Oh my gosh, these are girls who would never get a swimming lesson. They now get lessons. They'll learn to swim in our swimming pool. They'll also get water therapy, for sure. And then they're just going to have fun, damn it, because that's what they should do.
I will agree with that. There were complaints about lack of activities before.
Yes, and I agree. We need to get them out and about more. So we've invested in an activity staff that has rec therapists. The idea is to get them outside more. We are a secure campus, meaning that we have a perimeter fence. We also have a 24/7, 365 gate where it's manned at all time. You have to have an appointment or you're credentialed or whatnot. That's not to keep, I need to be clear on this, not to keep girls in. We are not detention for girls. We're mental health treatment. They need to feel as if they're safe, especially when we have a human trafficking program on our campus. We are trying to keep folks, bad folks, out. That's why we have a perimeter fence around. We hope that the girls feel safer. All of our buildings are locked. They all have electronic access. We try to make them feel as safe as they possibly can on our campus.
And I know it's been an issue there, but also we've had employees with complaints saying they haven't felt safe just because they also have said, I don't feel trained enough to deal with this level of.
Yeah, that's terrible. That cannot happen. I certainly hope that people feel safe enough at work now that they can say those words, raise your hand, because that's the idea. Not only do we become transparent, but we're accountable to one another, and we need to be able to talk to one another. If something's not working, if I am burnt out, I just can't anymore. Somebody needs to tap in for me and allow me to take a moment. That's what we're trying to impress upon staff. We don't need superhero people, even though I would argue they are.
It is a tough, I don't know if I could do it.
I couldn't do it, let's be honest. I think that you and I probably need to let the professionals do
Yes.
it. Because when I'm told, we're low in staff in this particular building, of course I want to run in there and do whatever I can do, but then I hesitate and go, I can't possibly do what all those direct care people do. They're amazing, they really are.
And I don't doubt there are some amazing employees there. It is, like I said, I just want to know what happens to some of the staff when there are those abuse, sexual abuse, threats. When a girl hits a staff member, as you know, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't hit them back.
You don't. You absolutely don't. I think we all can understand the human reaction to want to push or to grab an arm or whatever. It's not allowed. That is not a safe behavior. You're immediately terminated. It's kind of like my facilities guys. I know that they probably bite their fingernails every day. They know they cannot leave behind a screw, anything behind in a room that they may have gone in to fix a window or do something. Because if they leave anything behind, it's immediate termination. I don't do that because I'm trying to be mean. That's how important safety is. And our girls will use anything. They are incredibly resourceful. That will work well for them outside of Vista Maria, but inside Vista Maria, we have to be uber safe because they're not making the best choices. We have to help them make those choices. And yes, we have had some bad apples. You are 100% correct. We need to get them out sooner if we have them in. And that's really what we're about, is aggressively evaluating staff as they're going through our onboarding, which is comprehensive and it's long. The amount of investment we put in new hires, they're in new hire training for 2 weeks. Then they go another week where they're in the building with a skills trainer. Like, we're putting in a lot of time and effort to make sure they're prepared for what they walk into. But still, I wish I could pay each of them $1 million. They don't make nearly enough for what they do. But they sure do, they look at their wages in more than a paycheck. It makes their heart feel good to help these girls. Some of them come from that background, which is good, and sometimes it's not so good because they can get triggered themselves.
I had heard from some employees that it goes both ways,
Yeah.
and girls, that I won't get into that. But
Okay.
regarding just, obviously, we started this with talking to Dearborn Heights Police about all their runs. We were told, no, you don't have a security issue. Did you have a security issue?
Well, no, that's an important question. I'm so glad you asked it, because I think that people saw 300 calls in a year or year and a half. That's too much. It is too many. But I want to be clear on what those calls are. Those are not kids calling the cops on staff. That is because of some of the Michigan laws regarding how child care institutions can and can't interact with kids. Sometimes when kids get heightened and we're not allowed to seclude them, certainly, we can't send them to their rooms or do anything like that, but we also can only restrain them in certain conditions. Well, then we have to call the police, because the police can restrain. They can put a child into their car and take them to the hospital to have a psychiatric evaluation. That's why they're being called. It has nothing to do with unsafe conditions on our campus or anything like that. It's because police can do more. Now, has it impaired our relationship with Dearborn Heights? 100%. We've had meetings with them. They certainly don't need to be on our campus as much as they are. And we're taking steps to make sure that we've trained in staff so that before a child gets that heightened, we're taking steps so that we don't have to call the police.
That's just what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Why has that number magically gone down?
Well, number one, it's because kids have gone down. Number two, it's because we're filling those gaps in training so that we're identifying, okay, so-and-so is supposed to have a call with their worker. They didn't call. Let's keep our eye on, Alice, because she may start to get heightened. They may take her out for a walk right away and have her talk through what's going on. They're just getting closer one-to-one with kids and making sure that we're there before things get heightened. I'm not saying it'll never happen, please no, but we're doing a better job.
How many girls are there right now?
7.
And how many are there usually?
We will go up to probably about 42 by the first quarter of next year.
So why the decline?
Well, like I mentioned, in the beginning of the year, we could see that the heightened acuity of kids was causing destruction to buildings, staff was getting injured, all the signs were there. We stopped taking intakes. Then your reporting happened, and a lot of other things happened along the same lines. DHHS then came in. We had a placement suspension until July, mid-July. And so we looked at it as opportunity, an opportunity to reset, an opportunity to reimagine what our campus could be for the higher acuity kids and what we needed to do to prepare. I feel like we are so prepared now. We know what we need to do. We are not taking more kids until we have the right staff at the right time in the right buildings, period. Staff are too important. We can't put them in harm's way either, and that's kind of what we got into. That's why our workers' comp claims were out of the, I can't even imagine what we're going to play.
Why do you think that happened?
Well, it's because, it was our own staff had a freeze kind of mentality, so that when kids were acting up, they weren't necessarily.
But you're saying the staff had the freeze.
Yeah.
And they had their reaction, but really, they weren't trained.
Well, I would say that we didn't hire necessarily all of the right people to do that care. Yes. Okay. I don't know if it was the right training or not. We know we needed to weed out, and that's why we retrained everybody, because in that process, we gave written tests, we did role playing, and some people didn't cut the mustard. So is that how they say it?
That is how they say it.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we lost about 20 people in that process because you don't have the skills necessary to be Vista worthy.
So in 3 months, we're going to see reds for violations, greens for no violation. We're going to see a lot less, I'm hoping.
Well, I hope so too. I really do. I think that we should plan on getting back together.
I'm honestly hoping.
I know you are.
I know everyone thinks my goal is to get Vista Maria shut down. there's not facilities like this out there. I just want to make sure everyone's safe
Yeah.
and things are being done right. And I would imagine that's why you're doing what you're doing.
I think prior to coming here and having this conversation with you, I would have thought that maybe you had different reasons. I can see you're genuine. You really do want to see Vista Maria and others succeed because you know that there's a need. So I appreciate that. And I'm serious when I say, if you want to talk again, let's talk again. You'll get straight answers from me. I don't know any other way to do it.
I was going to say promise because we are recording.
Yeah, any other time, I will talk to you.
If I get another list of violations.
I will talk to you.
Okay,
You have my word.
thank you.
Yeah.